Hello. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me because I'm trying to be quiet, so maybe you can. But I decided I'm going to send you a little video because I'm making my sauerkraut, and I wanted to show you what I was doing. So, I started while my iPad was charging with shredding the cabbage. You can cut it small, you can cut it nice and fine, but I went ahead and used my mandolin, as you can see here, and I just shredded it all up. Now I've got it nice and fine. I think I shredded it at like 1/16, but it doesn't really matter. As long as your sizes are consistent, then it'll do fine. The recipe that I was given calls for 1 to 2 tablespoons of salt per head of cabbage. So I've got 2 bowls here because I don't have a big non-metal bowl, which is also what it says. So I'm just dividing it up between 2 bowls so that it can start to sweat and have the juices drawn out. Get that out of the way. Okay, so I had some odd, weird pieces left over, so I was going to chop them small and fine. This was kind of a small head of cabbage, so it doesn't look that small. I've already put a little bit of salt in each bowl. It's 1 to 2 tablespoons per head, so I did about half, a little less than half in each one. Just want to get the salt for the first time. Now I'm doing that again, so it'll be just under 2 tablespoons. Total. Okay. My cabbage was kind of dry, so I may need to let it sit for a little while. But what you do is you just get in there and you just bruise it up. I'm just massaging it really nice and rough so that I can get the juices to start to sweat out. A little funky pieces in there. You see, I'm just squeezing it and softening up those, starting to break down the cell walls. And the salt's going to help draw out the water. And what you're doing is you're making the cabbage's own brine. So all the liquid that it's going to soak in while it's fermenting is from the cabbage itself. So I don't know if you can see how, not really, my lighting's not good, but how kind of glossy it is already. Hopefully it's not too salty, because I got it pretty salty on my first batch that I did in class. Still pretty salty. I need to make sure and add some more cabbage from the other head. So, probably want to err on the side of a little less salt. Although it will according to the directions, it will work itself out as it ferments. So you can see I'm getting some liquid out of there. So I'm going to let this one sit while I work on this one. This just takes some time. It's kind of like kneading bread. Oof. Now they have these really cool things that I saw on Amazon, and if you're doing this a lot, it's probably a good idea to invest in one of those, they call them kraut pounders, or vegetable pounders. Because this takes a while. Although it's really good for your hands. It's a workout by itself. Whatever you gotta do to just beat it up and bruise it up in there. Getting there. Okay, let's give this one a taste. Yeah, that one's pretty salty too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in one bowl and let them kind of hang out together and sweat. And I'm going to shred some more cabbage to add to that to cut down the salt. That was disappeared. Okay. I started out cutting the cabbage in half, and then you just cut out the core bits, because you don't want those, they're pretty bitter. Just with a little bee, I know you know how to do that. Okay. The fun part. gonna mix in some of salty kraut with the new cabbage. Let it work its magic. Not sure what possessed me to do this at 1 o'clock in the morning when I know I'm going to be getting up tomorrow at 4, today at 4, to start canning. Well, to start getting ready for canning. I cleaned up everything tonight, so I'm pretty close to ready. Just gotta wash jars and stuff. Okay. I've got a whole office full of peaches and tomatoes. Okay, so now that we've got a little bit more cabbage in there, hopefully that'll cut down the salt because I put too much. So when the recipe says 1 to 2, just do 1. Really work out some aggression. So I've really been enjoying the fermented foods. Getting into them, they're so good for your tummy and all that good bacteria. So, and we love sauerkraut. I've never had homemade sauerkraut, I don't believe. Okay, now that we've got that extra in there, let's give it a taste. I think that's better. I think it could use some more. I'm not sure how many jars I'm going to get out of this. I've got 1.5 gallon waiting. Probably should have another one. Really does its magic fast. Definitely gonna get one of those kraut powders. think just a little bit more cabbage between the two of these. And I keep tasting because she said it needed to be just a little bit too salty. So you can kind of gauge just how much you need. My hands are very, very far away from the blade. Even being that far away from the plate kind of makes me nervous. On that side. Mandolin safety. Okay, that should be enough. Some kind of tutorial, huh? But it's kind of, you get to see how the process goes. And you get to see that it's not an exact science, which is pretty cool, I think. I have to clean this kitchen all over again when I'm done. Because I did have it spotless. But that's okay. Sauerkraut. Once you know what you're doing, I don't think it actually takes that long. Squishing. quite a bit of juice in the bottom now. That's nice and bruised. I'll let that sit for just a few minutes. Of course, I need to taste it to see how good it. I think when it's mixed with this one, it'll be perfect. So, sauerkraut is supposed to sit and ferment for 3 to 4 weeks, according to the paper. They say to taste test after about a week, so you can get the idea of what it's supposed to taste like. So on the kraut that I started from the class, I have about 3 more days until I'm at the 1 week point. Now, as I said before, the kraut that I started in class is very salty. So I don't think it will be nearly as good as this. You can see here how much liquid we're making out of there. It just gets crazy juicy. And I think it would have taken less time if my cabbage had been a little bit fresher, because it's kind of dry. A bigger bowl would be helpful. And it says it needs to be a non-metal bowl. My only big bowls are metal. Okay. Now, it's mixed up a little bit. I'm going to taste it one more time, just so that I get an idea. I think that's perfect. It's just a little bit saltier than what I would want to eat, but it's still okay to eat. It wouldn't stop me from eating it. Okay. Now comes the hard part. I'm going to go down to the bottom and just pack it as much as you can. Just want to beat it into the bottom of the jar. This is where that kraut pounder would come in super handy. juicy it is in there. This is gonna take a while. Suppose I could use a funnel. That could be helpful. Alright, I keep finding these weird little brown bits that were in the middle of the cabbage. Okay. See the juice starting to froth up. One of the things that I didn't mention about the salt is you're not supposed to use any kind of iodized or table salt. You want natural, good sea salt or something else. It's got all the minerals in there. It's getting super juicy now. Don't really need to squeeze the juice out. I'm just squeezing some out so that I can get more cabbage in there. I think I might get all this in there. So I got a head and a half into a half-gallon jar. Nice. That's pretty cool. Now I am out of cabbage. So what I'm going to do just going to clean up my jar a little bit. Because I like clean jars. All this that got flopped around. Okay, now this right here is the super cool part. I want to make sure we get all the little bits tucked down under the water. Under the cabbage juice. Okay, now you're going to take this super cool little piece and we're going to build a cap to go over the cabbage to keep all those little tiny pieces under the brine, because if any of the pieces come out of the brine from under the brine, then that's when you start to get mold and other undesirables. So just want to make sure that we build a nice little cap. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use that extra as like a little seal, just to keep all the little good bits down. Now, since I have so much extra, I'm just going to put a little bit more. Let's see. I don't want any cabbage pieces. A little bit more brine in there. Then, since we want even that cabbage cap to be underneath the brine, and nope, too big. I need to get me a jelly jar. Sorry for the delay. Wandering around in the den in the dark. Okay. So this is a neat little trick. Because I need all of that submerged under the water. This is 2% saline solution, salt. It's 2 tablespoons to a quart of water. And the reason that I'm using the saline is so that if anything spills into the kraut, it won't water it down or change the salinity of the kraut. And I can even put a little bit of saline right in there. I think I put a little bit too much. But I put the saline in the cup to weight it down so that it keeps everything submerged. I'm just going to do a tiny little drain because I think I put just a teensy bit too much. You don't want it to overflow, but you want it to keep the level of the liquid high enough, and you'll check it every day or every couple days to make sure it hasn't evaporated, or if anything comes out up over the edge, then you need to go check that and tuck it back in. And since all of the bacteria and everything in here is going to start to get active, it'll probably get a little bubbly and a little seepy, so you want to put it on top of a plate or something. So what I'm going to do now, because you don't want anything to get into this, you don't want anything to contaminate or crawl in there, I am going to use my jelly strainer. You can put whatever. On the smaller ones that don't have this on top, you can use a coffee filter like I have on my others. So I just put that over, a little rubber band, voila. Now I'm going to move it to my little fermenting corner, which I probably should have done first. So that is how it's done. Now I let it sit for 3 to 4 weeks, and hopefully it doesn't mold or have any other weird things. You just keep checking it, and as long as the level of liquid is over all of the things inside, then it should just ferment away and become a little pot of bacterial goodness. So that was very long and drawn out, and I did it just for you. Okay, I'll talk to you later.